comment, but I've already made my points about this music, so I can't legally justify showing any more. So I guess I'll have to play something from the public domain instead. It's too bad though, because this was a pretty sweet show. This one really got them going. He dropped AC/DC in the middle of the Black Eyed Peas. People were blogging about it for weeks. Look, there's Paris. It's official. Copyright infringement is hot.
Did you get footage of that? Unreal. I just want to go home and just post that as my blog right now, no words. Seems really symbolic that it's like almost you won an award by being at Coachella. You know, it's like this is the 50 bands this year who got to do it. You know, it's just nuts to be able to play at the same time as the Chili Peppers, or, you know, with at the same show as you playing while you're playing. It's a pretty weird situation, you know. I'll probably play more proms than I'll play Coachellas in my lifetime. I think the decision to put on next album or not changes completely for me. I'm still up in the air on whether I openly want to put out an album or whether I want to try to give it away for free or how we're even going to do it. I never thought about that before, you know, but now I'm not as quick to just put out an album because there's such focus on it. And I'm just trying to make the music I like to make, and if I'm not trying to get sued, I don't want to lose on. I'm about to quit my job, so I think it would be, you know, the perfect downward spiral for me to quit my job and put out an album and get sued out of existence. So, you know, I don't want that to happen. I just kind of want to keep. Right now it's great. Put out an album, people like it, get to tour. I just wish I could continue that without having to worry about laws.
Girl Talk has more to worry about than just music and the law. Because in his day job, ideas are definitely not free. They are patents, corporate secrets, guarded like gold.
My technical title is biomedical engineer. I test devices and analyze data. In science and in my music, it's really trial and error for me. We just dabble in so many things, and that's the same way. I mean, with samples, I just sample things all day long. Then I see what works. And, you know, doing science, whenever you're looking up new ideas, you just read journals, take notes. That's just, you know, collecting the data to look into a million different things to make something new. And then there's the actual processing of the data where you're saying, all right, now I have to get results. You know, the first thing you do is research it and see if there's patents for it. And a lot of time, very broad ideas are patented. It is an experimental division, so you know, we keep a notebook and they want us to propose 3 ideas per year. And I think if it were a bit more open to the point where the whole point of medicine and science were, let's just do the best we can. Let's just build on all the ideas and see what we can make happen. I think the progress of medicine would move, you know, incredibly fast. All the time, you know, you come up with something and you do the research and it's been patented, and maybe your idea is slightly different, but they might hold a patent on a core, you know, part of your idea. So, you know, a lot of times it's just, that's out of the question. You know, it holds back knowledge exchange very clearly. You know, so many things just aren't developed because people are holding a patent onto it. The cure for cancer could be a step away, but, you know, it's off limits. You know, they might sit on that idea forever and do nothing with it.
When I say culture is threatened, I don't just mean music and movies. I really do mean everything. The concept of intellectual property is addictive. Once you realize that ideas can be more profitable than oil or gold or even land, then there's no limit to what can be thought of as property. In 1980, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that living organisms could be patented. Soon after this decision, ayahuasca, a plant from the Amazon rainforest, was patented by an American entrepreneur. The The plant has been used for generations by Amazonians for medicinal and spiritual practice. Now that you could patent life, the race was on. The 20th century had been the century of property, of land. The 21st century was to be the century of intellectual property, of ideas. In the 1990s, the United States hatched a plan to trade the economy of things for the economy of ideas. And the man who would protect these ideas was Bruce Lehman.
In the Clinton administration, my job was to being in charge of the intellectual property policy of the United States, both domestically and in terms of our diplomacy. You know, in a modern economy, I think wealth is in the products of the mind. It's really in intellectual creations. You know, in much of the world, we live in a sea of piracy. And, you know, you can have sympathy for developing countries, but we made a deal. You know, if you go to a shopping mall in this country, you cannot buy anything made in the United States anymore. It all comes from China or some other place like that. Well, the reason for that is that we've completely opened up our markets. It was a conscious decision to basically abandon low-wage manufacturing jobs, and the idea is that we would compensate for that with higher wage, high-tech information, more intangible-based jobs.
The idea was that they would convince the world's economies to adopt laws that prohibited the copying of American ideas without American permission. And in exchange, it would require all the countries that wanted to manufacture stuff and export them here to adopt American copyright laws. And if they didn't, they wouldn't be allowed to sell their goods, their physical goods here in America. And the World Trade Organization would be the teeth.
And the difficulty in the global trading system is that we met our part of the bargain, but these other countries didn't meet theirs.
ミッキーマウスにドナルド・ダック？それにミニーちゃんも？一見おなじみのディズニーのキャラクターたち。
This knockoff of the happiest place on earth highlights a problem with the American plan. For better or for worse, the information age is all about copying ideas.
シンデレラ城のようなお城にあの人気アトラクションそっくりの乗り物まで。
米老鼠什么的有吗？没有是吗？我们是大耳猫，我们是猫，你注意一下。
I have to say that we're now more than a decade, I guess we're 12 years into our policies on digital copyrights. I feel that it also has not achieved the results that we wanted.
ディズニーに行くのは遠いので設計残遊園地に行こうと書かれています。
And so I'm thinking, you know, well, maybe we should have forgotten intellectual property rights internationally and gone for labor standards in the environment.
Well, that would have been a good idea. But instead of pushing for fair trade policies, the U.S. is trying to build an economy that can't be built. Since enacting these policies, the U.S. trade deficit has nearly tripled. To top it off, the whole world is now stuck making criminals out of its citizens to enforce laws that can't be enforced. I don't know about you, but I'm ready for number 4. To build free societies, you need to limit the control of the past.
When America was a developing nation after the Revolution and for its first 100 years, it did not honor any copyrights save those that were generated by American authors. So foreign authors like Charles Dickens were widely and enthusiastically pirated by the American presses, who used the proceeds from this to subsidize the printing of Mark Twain, a local author. And so the idea that Burundi or Brazil or India needs a copyright law like America's in order to compete with America is absolutely wrong. What American history has shown us is that what they need is a copyright law like America had in 1776.